Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Double A Team live stream. Double A Team live stream, I should say. Sorry about that. I'm your host, Stephen Nagishi, along with my co-host on the right of my screen. It is from Awful announcing the associate editor Ken Fang himself. Ken, happy holidays to you. Thanks for joining me once again on this uh 21st of December, with only about 10 days left in the 2025.
Unbelievable, Stephen. Unbelievable how this year has gone so quickly again. Unbelievable about some of the things that have happened this year. Well, maybe we'll review that next week, but certainly happy to see you, happy to be on with you, and certainly hope that your week has gone well.
Thank you very much. Absolutely. All right, let's change up a little bit, since there's a couple of NFL games still that are going on. We'll get to that in a bit, but we'll start off with the college football from yesterday. Certainly, we'll get to not just for the game itself, but for the validity of some of the teams that are being in the game itself. Miami, Oregon, and Ole Miss all both advance to play. Miami with probably the most impressive win of all. It was a low-scoring game against Texas A&M in College Station with the wind gust. The kicking was just atrocious for both sides, but Miami managed to hang on to win 10-3 to face the Ohio State, the defending champion and a second seed. Oregon moves to demolish James Madison. 51-34, but the score was kind of already lopsided and determined anyway. And they will face the Texas Tech now in the next round. Ole Miss demolished Tulane again for the second time this year, because they already faced them back in September, I believe. It was another, like a 30-plus score differential. Now Ole Miss faced the Georgia in the, I believe, the Sugar Bowl. Again, the SEC familiarity certainly comes into play as well. Georgia had already beaten Ole Miss to give them their first loss of the year, only loss of the season, by the way. But the question that is on the minds of many people, and is whether JMU and Tulane, the group of five conferences, the schools that earned the rights to get their butt kicked yesterday, and it was pretty somewhat convincingly from the start to finish there, Ken. But Ken, I know this is a kind of a tie into Joel Klatt's comment about how March Madness is a complete joke in the eyes of him, because I don't know why he even, first of all, decided to compare college football to March Madness, and then versus the March Madness, when there's, the school numbers versus the determination is somewhat flawed in comparison. Ken, let me ask you this: your thoughts on JMU and Tulane, the group of five schools being included in this, and do you feel like, I don't know, does group of five deserve to be in it, even if the score was as lopsided as it was yesterday, or do you feel like there needs to be some sort of a tweaking moving forward?
I think they deserve to be there. You do what you can. You get there. You deserve to be there. Look, if you want to have a college football with playoff with just the Big Ten and the SEC and maybe the ACC, then just do that. But it's really silly. This whole thing that saying, oh well, they don't deserve to be there. No, they did what they had to do. Are their schedules as strong as the SEC or the Big Ten or maybe the ACC? No, probably not. Or the Big 12, we should add them. but still, I they'll you know what's going to happen. The college football playoff is going to tweak this, so only one of those teams are going to come in. And you know what? That's fine. They do what they want to do. It's not regulated by the NCAA. Um, the, they're going to expand to 16 teams, and they're probably going to have a certain number amount that's going to be taken from both the Big Ten and the SEC. So to satisfy those two conferences, and then the rest is going to be like for the ACC, the Big 12, and maybe one team from the group of five. I feel bad for them, but you know what? This is just a really silly thing. That the fact is that these big teams, these big conferences want everything to do and want all the big prizes for themselves. Joel Klatt with his dumb comment, and I said that I jokingly said that this is where we say that Joel Klatt probably played football without a helmet, but saying that nobody wants to see Cinderellas in college basketball. That is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. He just look. Okay, so you want to have Ohio State play Alabama every year. Fine, you can do that. You can regulate your college football, and then maybe you can have a championship for those outside of your main conferences. I think that's where we're headed anyway, Stephen. And I have a feeling that we're probably going to see a situation where those bigger college football conferences have their own playoff. And it's kind of like division. It's like the FCS and the FBS. You're going to have another subdivision for those outside of the college football playoff. And it's too bad this has to happen, and it's too bad that JMU and Tulane had to get wiped out. We didn't see a situation where Boise State and Oklahoma in the 2007 Fiesta Bowl, but it's to the point where we have haves and have-nots, kind of like in baseball, where you have those teams that can spend a lot of more money and can maintain a higher level, whereas the other teams cannot. But you know what? That's where we're going to happen. It's going to get tweaked again next year. College football playoff will have 16 teams, more teams for the major conferences, and just probably one berth at large bid for those outside those major conferences.
Right. I'm sharing your site that Sean Keeley wrote about what Joe Klatt missed in his comments that James Madison inclusion should not be included in all of this. Now, first of all, for those who are not familiar with what Joe Klatt had said, it all says the terrible March Madness take that he had says that, and assault against the NCAA tournament being a joke because of its one and done nature, and the best teams don't always, which I thought it was ridiculous and first of all, why he decided after all these years to decide to take a shot against NCAA tournament. So this is what he has says on his own show, and here let's see what he has to say.
I had an interesting take. It was a bad take. It was a terrible take. To be fair, what I said on their show on Monday morning early was sloppy and worded wrong. And so it was kind of like I landed the plane, but it was in a cornfield. And so like we had to hit the eject, and it was like we kind of like the plane didn't crash necessarily. Here's the deal. The NCAA basketball tournament, if the objective was to crown the best basketball team of the college basketball season, then it's a bad format. And because of that, then it's not fair, is what I said. And I said, it's a joke. It's the dumbest. And that's obviously going to grab headlines. And again, that's stupid of me to use those terms. But the structure of the NCAA basketball tournament, its objective is entertainment. It's meant to be a gauntlet. So the point is the best college basketball team for the year doesn't always win the NCAA basketball tournament. That tournament is set up to just crown its own champion. It's a made-for-TV entertainment event, and it's great. And by the way, I do love the NCAA basketball tournament. But if you're asking
I don't know if I buy that shit.
me, is it structured properly to crown the best team of the season? Then the answer is no. It's a hot take. It's a bad take. Not everyone's going to share that with me because everyone loves the entertainment value of Cinderellas in the NCAA basketball tournament. But here's the thing. If you're actually honest with yourself, you love the Cinderellas early, but late, you want to see the best teams playing against each other. You want to see incredible regional finals. You want to see Kentucky and Duke with Leitner hitting it at the buzzer. Why? Because that's greatness. Yes, you love Cinderellas in the tournament because you have 68 teams. But in college football, ours is much more selective. We have 12 teams of 130 whatever teams in college football. And so once we're down to 12, well, now we don't really want Cinderellas. And I will maintain that opinion. That is my opinion. You can disagree, and more power to you.
Again.
All right, Ken. Let's get to, like, again, he was trying to compare apples and oranges, with
it's a dumb comparison.
Okay,
and,
let me throw some stuff out of my own day. Okay, NCAA tournament is awesome because you have Cinderellas that are always upsetting the big guns, the big schools. You know what I mean? 5 versus 12, 4 versus 13. We've seen that all the time, and that's what makes it great. The tournament itself, it's geared to, crown the that's why we have a tournament. It's not made to specifically allow the 1 seeds to dominate and win. We've seen, Villanova, the 10 seed, beat, what was then the Big East rival Georgetown with Patrick Ewing. We've seen that happen from many, many times. We've seen Butler coming 1 shot away from beating Duke to win the national title. And that's what makes it great. David versus Goliath. If the fans are complaining about it, then the NCAA basketball would have gotten rid of that format, or at least allow simply, what we have in college football, just a group of 4, a group of 5. Only tournaments. So I just don't understand why Joe Klatt, of all people, is just being a corporate shill trying to pounce his talking points. It just doesn't really make sense. Joe is just like keep doubling down for Fox Sports or the conferences that he's shilling for, because he just doesn't think that the Cinderellas like JMU and Tulane's of the world don't deserve to be there, even though group of 4 schools that are far more or less likely, they are, there are certain cases where even those types of games, they're going to get their ass kicked like 50-20 or something like that, like a completely lopsided games, like what we saw with Oregon getting their ass kicked by Ohio State in I believe in Rose Bowl, 48-10 or something like that. So Ken, I'll give you the keys to you. What do you think?
Well, first of all, Joe Klatt is completely wrong. The NCAA tournament is not a made-for-TV event. It's been around dating back almost like to the 1930s. It's one of the dumbest things he's ever said. It's not an entertainment thing. It's there to it's there to fairly crown a champion. Okay. And for many years, college football never really had a good tournament. Okay, we just had a poll to say, okay, who
exactly.
Is the best? And it's only until until the 1990s they finally had a bowl. They finally had a BCS, which only had 2 teams, and then finally expanded to 4, which everyone complained about. And now we have 6, and now we have 12, and everybody's still complaining about the fact that teams didn't get in. But no one's ever going to be satisfied. We'll get to 16, which is probably ideal, but we'll still get some complaints from both the SEC and the Big Ten for not getting it in, or Notre Dame not getting. Well, Notre Dame is going to get in because they have an agreement for if they're in the top 12, they get in. But it's just dumb for Joel Klatt to make these type of statements. Again, I joked that he played football without a helmet. I just think that he should just stay in his lane. Stay in his lane, and just know that he is not welcome. And I'm sure if he was to attend a college football or college basketball tournament, and watch maybe Duke get beat by a Cinderella, maybe he'll get caught up and say, maybe I was wrong. But you know what? I don't think he's ever going to do it. He's never going to admit he's wrong. He said that, oh, I was wrong to say that comment, but Joel, just stay away from college basketball. Will appear on your college football broadcast for Fox 14 or 15 weeks a year and disappear for the rest of the year so we don't have to see you.
Yeah, it's a disturbing trend, and where we see, whether it's media or in business or politics, of people doubling down on their hot takes, or just to be stupid. It is simply disturbing. I don't know what he was really trying to accomplish there, and it's simply that Joel has kind of like got to a point where he can never admit um his own mistakes. And that, like you said, we just showed earlier, a reflection of a superiority complex, that the people, average people like you and I, are kind of like starting to see these disturbing tendencies on a regular basis, that that's making people working in the mainstream media very, very unlikable. That they decide to kind of double down on these takes, and even Joel himself says it's a hot take. He admitted that, and yet it's a hot take because he knows it garners attention. Now, I don't want to think that Joel is all of a sudden following the same blueprint as Pat McAfee or Stephen A. Smith, because he has the need to spew some hot takes just for the clicks or likes. But it's unfortunate that Joel Klatt is following the same path, and that for a man who has done this for a long, long time, or of his ilk,
Mhm.
all of a sudden admitting mistakes, it's not an equivalent of admitting defeat. You're not competing against somebody. You're just a little apologies would go a long way towards restoring your credibility and reputation. So
Right.
it's
Right.
unfortunate there, right there. So anyway, let's move on to the NFL Week 16. Let's start with my Bears yesterday.
I'm sure you do.
It's amazing what happened yesterday. Oh my goodness, I cannot tell you. I cannot tell you, because a friend of mine invited me to go to Chicago. First of all, thank you very much. I nearly thought about going there, but unfortunately, a friend of mine came down with COVID, and so yeah. Funny thing is, a year ago I went to see a friend of mine in the West Coast. That friend unfortunately got sick. I got stuck in DFW because I was flying American, and I was stranded on Christmas Eve for 12 plus hours. And then, a friend got COVID. I got sick too, because I guess I was exposed to so many stuff while stuck in the airport for about 12, 13 hours. So it was a trip from hell. But a friend of mine was kind enough to say, I'm going to have to cancel. I will pay for your, train ticket to Chicago, because I had already ordered it to see the game at a local bar or something like that. And I was thankfully I was able to cancel the overnight bus trip back to Michigan. But anyway, right. I saw the game, and it was just simply an amazing game. The Chicago Bears have always broken my heart. Excuse me, for
I
many,
know
many
you.
years.
I know last night's game got you choked up, so I'm sure.
No, no. But it's just simply amazing what a difference a year makes. Coaching does matter, and Ben Johnson has completely transformed the Chicago Bears, literally with the same roster, with a few exceptions of offensive line, which was a massive weak spot a year ago. They fixed the interior. The run game got fixed after the bye week, and the Bears are just basically running down, uh, with DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai, two-headed monsters to lead the way. Caleb Williams has gotten significantly better this year. The relationship between Williams and Johnson has never been more better. Williams is taking in his, Johnson's coaching very, very well, and the results have shown. I got to tell you, but for 50 plus minutes yesterday, I know you probably saw the game as well to some degree. I just didn't have any feeling about the Bears are going to win this game because offensively, defensively, they got nothing. Jordan Love went out with a concussion, which, by the way, I thought that was a weak call because Austin Booker, and Love's hit each other, but Love actually ducked his head and then ended up crashing with Austin Booker's head.
Yeah,
Austin Booker was not
targeting.
roughing the passer. That was not a cheap shot like some Packers fans are claiming it to be. It's just unfair because he just Love lowered his head like this to avoid getting hit, and somehow Austin Booker's head was in the same level, and it just ended up hitting each other, and then Love ended up getting a concussion, which, by the way, I would never root for anybody, even somebody from the Packers. I did not root for Micah Parsons, getting his ACL a week ago. Unfortunate incident, by the way. And yet the Bears still struggled to beat the Lions. Was struggling against the Packers because Ben Johnson decided to do that crazy 4th and 1 play near the goal line where tight end Cole Kmet was under center, and then the snap just went over Kyle Monangai's head, and Monangai had to recover. And from that play just completely took the air out of the Bears, and I think it really took them a long, long time to recover, unfortunately, because of that. And
not only that, Steven, the field goal before the 2-minute warning, there seemed to be no urgency to try to kick that, to leave some time before the 2-minute warning, which would force the Bears to do their onside kick. And we all know onside kicks were only successful this season for 8%. So nobody had any idea, or nobody had at that time at the time at 16-9, even though it's a one-score game, no one had any confidence that the Bears could make a comeback at that time until that for some reason, and whatever happened, the Green Bay Packers, they had their all-hands team ready, and they had a receiver, one of the best receivers right there, but he took his eye off, and then Blackwell made a great recovery of that, and that turned the whole game around.
Right, and there was 1:59 left after that field goal, so the Bears were forced to go attempt an onside kick already, and they only had one timeout left at that time too.
Exactly.
So it was just a lucky bounce. I think Romeo Doubs had it in his hands and just couldn't cleanly field the ball, and it just bounced off his hands, and then it was all hell broke loose. Bears got the ball, and then on 4th and 4, Caleb Williams faced cover 0 all blitz, just basically threw it up on the corner of the right end zone. I thought he literally overthrew that ball, but Ja'Day Walker, who was
great
catch. He's not a big receiver. He's an undrafted free agent of Texas A&M, had a great preseason, but literally only had like less than 10 snaps so far this year, most of it in special teams, by the way. And he made an incredible catch at the right corner of the end zone, kept both feet in, held onto the ball as he was going out of bounds. I thought for sure that the Bears were going to go for two because I thought
thought so
they
too.
didn't have any. Yeah, they didn't have any confidence in the defense, who was getting gashed by Malik Willis, mostly for his running ability, because the Bears just couldn't stop the run to save their own lives throughout the game. Not just with, of course, Willis, but Roman Wilson and Josh Jacobs were also running amok against the Bears defense, which didn't have a pass rush all night, unfortunately.
And 2 weeks before, Johnson said that he would have gone for two in a similar situation where Caleb Williams threw that interception that ended up sealing the game for the Packers. So you would thought that Johnson would have gone for two, but instead went for the extra point to tie the game. It was an interesting decision. It worked out at the end, but still, you thought that Johnson was going to go for it, but it ended up working out. But you have to admit that, I think, Steven, that your defense stepped up as soon as that got it seemed like that onside kick all of a sudden gave Chicago, your Bears, a lot of confidence. The offense clicked.
New life, yes.
Right. That defense, especially in that last drive, they sacked Malik Willis just to basically prevent them from doing anything to try to make for a big play to go to overtime. And then once again, they did give up a big play for Green Bay in overtime, and they got the ball. And of course, Chicago decided to defer. They gave Green Bay the ball. It looked like Green Bay was going to score, but your defense stepped up again to prevent a field goal, to prevent them from trying to kick. And Malik Willis on a 3rd and 1 was stopped. And then the fourth down, fourth down.
That was a lucky because
they
botched the snap. Roman Wilson actually picked up the ball, but he was thankfully short of the fourth down line. The first down line, thankfully, by a couple of inches, thankfully. So the Bears got the ball, and then they did their work. And then Caleb Williams just hurled a beautiful pass that traveled way high up in the air in that windy condition, landed in the basket of DJ Moore, who had a huge second half. Like literally the last 2 minutes, DJ Moore literally was out there making big catches to help set up the touchdown. And the Bears won. I just could not believe, the sheer amount of luck that the Chicago Bears have been involved in this year. They had like 7 comebacks in the last 2 minutes this year. It's just incredible. I've seen this Bears team has like crazy wins. Like 2001, they had a lot of like Mike Brown pick sixes back-to-back weeks. I saw 2006 Arizona game, the Dennis Green infamous, the Bears were who we thought we were, and we let him off that hook. There were some crazy, memorable games where the Chicago Bears have been involved in, but this one actually does kind of feel different because they earned it. They got opportunistic defense to thank for them for their turnovers, to put themselves in a very good position to make a comeback. And they you still have to execute in those moments, and Caleb Williams has done that. He still has to improve his completion rates, there's no question about it, but when throws were needed to be made, whenever he needed to get the first down marker, he has stepped up. And again, coaching does matter, and Ben Johnson has made a significant difference on this team. And I just yesterday he literally looked like Matt Nagy for like 50 minutes or so, and then he got bailed out on, and thankfully he admitted that fourth down botched trickery, kind of he should have never done that, and kind of took the air out of the game. So hopefully he'll learn from that mistake, and now the Bears find themselves at 11-4, squarely number 2 seed right now. And
right.
and then you have the San Francisco and then Detroit to finish out the next 2 games. If the Lions, by the way, who are trailing against the Pittsburgh Steelers, if they lose tonight, the Bears actually do get into the playoffs. They don't win the division, but they will get the playoffs, and then that puts huge onus on the Lions and then the Packers, because now the Packers are finding themselves down 2 games, and they also have had that tie, unfortunately, against the Cowboys earlier this season that that they have to deal with. So the Bears are in a pretty good position, and they are ahead of the schedule, and hopefully, I think they are built to last, because 2018, with Matt Nagy, they won the division, but then the next year they crashed out to a 500, and from there they never recovered. At least with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, you have a legitimate coach, and then you have a legitimate quarterback. So I hope that this team is built in the long run, not just this year. This year's great, but I don't want to be greedy, but you have to kind of think about, hopefully this is for the long term.
What did I say when we went into this stretch, Stephen? And I said it last week. You have to hold serve. That's exactly what they did. You know that Green Bay is going to be a tough out at Lambeau Field. Bears did a great job by at least being in a chance to at least tie or maybe win that game. But of course, the pick at the end really hurt. But they learned a couple things in that game. And yes, they looked absolutely horrible for 58 minutes, as you mentioned. But it was it's one play that could always turn that game around, and it was the onside kick. The Bears were flying high after that, and I don't think there was any doubt in my mind that they were going to win that game. And I have to say, give credit to Ben Johnson. He said, "Okay, on the winning play, he said, I have the Packers down. Let's go for the jugular. Let's not just wait and try and position ourselves for a field goal. Let's win it now. Win it now." And through that, and he had Caleb Williams throw that fantastic play, fantastic pass to DJ Moore. Now, even if he didn't catch that, now it wasn't called, but there was pass interference on that play. The defender tried to tackle DJ Moore well before the ball was there. It wasn't called.
Yeah, that should have been a foul. I know the Bears shot themselves in the foot yesterday so many times. That at least that play they should have gotten
it
pass
should have been called. It should have been flagged. It never was.
All over him. He draped him. He got him in the neck there too.
Yeah. So it was. It should have been called. It never was. But credit to DJ Moore. He caught the ball, and Soldier Field went absolutely nuts. I think I heard you screaming from Detroit, where I was in my house yesterday. So,
I was jumping up and down. Trust me.
Yeah.
I was jumping up and down when that play happened, because I did not see this. I did not expect the Bears to win, that game, because of the way they play for, like you said, 58 minutes. By the way, that winning touchdown play, they drew up that play 2 days ago before. It was amazing. They were just tinkering and hey, you want to do this play? They just did one practice, and then it was a successful one. So they just do it up and and heck with it. And then that was the actual game winner. So it was amazing. So, thank God, it was amazing. I'll say this about the game itself also. Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady's energy made the game really, really exciting to watch. And, what do you think of Tom Brady and Kevin Burkhardt, being together for I believe this is their, what is this, 3rd year now, right?
Second season. But I give Kevin Burkhardt his due. He did a great job. He was fantastic. He was up. He was fair. He was fair throughout the game. Whether it was
his energy is amazing. His energy is amazing.
I know that Tom Brady has improved, but last night, why was he yelling at the American people? Why was he yelling at every play? Was it necessary to yell at us? I mean, it's like when Stephen A. Smith or Pat McAfee point their finger at the American people. Why do you do that? It's not necessary to yell every play. I know that Soldier Field is going to be loud. I understand that. But you don't have to yell at us at every single play. I felt that, and whatever improvement Tom Brady has had over the season was taken away by his constantly yelling and his and I think he has an orgasm every time that there's a big play. Oh, I'm like,
Yeah, I can hear it. I can hear it every play. Every
yeah,
play. I've heard him several times on the Bears game already
yeah,
this year. Every big play that there is, I've
yeah,
heard him scream like a fan too.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
I get it. I get it. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
you want to be professional, but there have been some people who said like his honest emotions and how much he has shown respect towards Caleb and the Bears versus what.
mhm,
Troy Aikman and the Monday Night Crew. Because this week I think um, what is it? Joe Buck. Joe Buck said that again he doubled down that Caleb Williams did not show up in the Bears meetings or whatever.
right,
On the eve of the
right,
game, like, why are you saying that now? Come on,
right,
man.
right.
What are you
Yeah,
trying to, stop shitting on the Bears for God's sakes, man. And then that's why I think most Bears fans are kind of like more partial to Brady and Burkhardt, of course, because I think, not
they
just for the infectious energy, but their honesty in some ways too. Yeah.
right. But overall, I think Kevin Burkhardt, he's fantastic. He's a great announcer. He's earned the #1 spot for Fox. He's the
Uh-huh.
host of the World Series as well, but he does a great job on the games. And like I said, when he called the Super Bowl with Greg Olson, and then he called the Super Bowl last year with Tom Brady. Both of them, he did a great
Yeah.
job. I'm not, disparaging anything that he's done. I think he deserves his #1 spot, and he's going to be there for a long time to come. Unfortunately, he'll be there with Brady, but I have my own issues with Tom Brady, going back to Spygate and all that stuff. But I think, like I said, Tom Brady has improved a lot this year. He's just got to yelling at the American people.
All right. Let's take a look at your Browns. They gave the Buffalo Bills a pretty tough out. I was actually listening to radio on my drive and doing some errands on A50 here in Michigan. Believe it or not, I can actually pick up the signal here, and I was actually listening to it.
Over there that they're on.
Right. I tell you what, the conversation has been about the future of Stefanski. I do follow 93.3 The Fan and then 850 ESPN on my X as well. The conversation has been about the game itself, of course, was actually I thought that the Browns did a great job keeping this game close. Unfortunately, that a botched field goal toward the end of the halftime was actually quite the difference, between a tie game going into overtime and then losing by 3, unfortunately. But a lot of the conversations has been about, them needing to draft another quarterback, whether it's, Fernando Mendoza or Dante Moore, because, Shadir has absolutely done nothing to maybe warrant the starting job next year, or he hasn't done enough positive stuff. But then there's also the conversation side about, just how bad the offensive line is and that the receivers are, non-existent, the running game, fortunately with Quinshon Judkins suffering a horrific injury that might put his 2026 season in kind of like in jeopardy.
Right.
Ken, as a Browns fan, where do you stand on whether or not drafting another quarterback, or do you kind of like stick with Shadir and just build around him, and then if he still doesn't pick up do better in 26, at least you could draft a quarterback in 27, at least with the better offensive line than the receivers. Where do you stand?
I don't know where. I understand some of the talk about drafting another quarterback, but and for one play, Dylan Gabriel had to come in as Shadir Sanders had an issue with his pinky. You may saw, some of you may have seen the game. The game was actually available here in New England because the Bills were playing, so the people wanted to see the Bills and how they would do. Shadir Sanders hit a helmet, which basically hit his nail and caused the blood on his pinky finger on his throwing hand, which had to be bandaged with a cap on his pinky. But overall, I don't know what fans want, because you got to realize, if you don't have a full offensive line, you could put the greatest quarterbacks behind that offensive line, but they're still going to have the same result. They're going to have to be trying to run for their life. They'll probably have the same results that Shadur has had. I think Shadur has warranted the opportunity to play for the starting position next year. Unfortunately, Deshaun Watson's going to be coming back because of that stupid contract they gave him. So he'll probably, be vying for the starting position too. But you can draft Mendoza. You can draft any Heisman Trophy winner from the past 25 years that have been playing a quarterback, and they'll have the same result. I don't care what you're going to say. I don't think drafting another quarterback is a solution. I think they need to improve what's around them. They have to get some receivers in free agency. They've got to get a running back. They need a whole lot of things. But drafting another, what is he going to do if you draft Mendoza next season? What is that going to get you? Well, let's say he starts next year, and into the same circumstances. People will say, "Hey, let's draft another quarterback in 2027." It's not the solution. You got to build around what you have. You got to be patient. But I agree with you, Steven. This management is just terrible. Jimmy Haslam is the worst owner. Okay, he hasn't done anything to me to warrant me having any confidence in this in this team. And right now, Kevin Stefanski, we all know he's dead man walking. We know they'll get another coach. Probably have to like I said, you've got to draft the right people, and they haven't done that. They haven't done that over the last 5 seasons. Oh, they haven't been.
Although this year's draft class is very encouraging.
Yeah, it is encouraging, but they have just not done a good job in building around what they have, and they've got to do that. They have to
consecutive draft picks. I get.
Yeah, they've got to do a much better job. And if they can't see the forest from the trees and what they're doing, there's no long range plans. It doesn't seem to me there's a good 3 to 5 year plan. You know what Chicago has done? They drafted around Caleb Williams. They shored up that offensive line that we talked about. They got a better running attack, and now we see the results. The Browns have to do the same thing, but right now, with under their current ownership, I don't have any confidence that they can do that. But drafting another quarterback simply just because you want to draft a quarterback is not the solution. You got to build around. You got to get a complete team. You got to shore up the weaknesses. And if they don't do that, like I said, you can draft anybody you want for the quarterbacking position. They're just going to have the same problems as they did this year.
Do you still feel like Andrew Berry will be back, and then Stefanski is kind of like the scapegoat? Because obviously Berry is the one who drafted that very good draft class this year, and I understand that just one draft class alone isn't going to save anybody's job. As somebody who's been on the as a Bears fan, I've seen the Bears draft a quarterback one year and then ended up firing the coach the next year, and then the vicious cycle of bad decision making. But do you still feel like Andrew Berry is the one that's going to stay and then keep doing the job?
Yeah, he's still. I think I have a feel. As much as I don't have much confidence in him, I think he's going to come back. I think he has some pictures on Jimmy Haslam, so Haslam is going to be forced to bring him back. So, but Devin Stefanski's not coming back, and Berry will bring in somebody else. But I want to give him another opportunity to at least draft another class to see how he does, and I want to see how he's going to try and try to do a much better, try to shore up what he has, because I at least want to see that. But give him one more chance, give him one more draft class, give him an opportunity to hire a coach that can actually do the Haslam's bidding and actually do something. Because Stefanski hasn't, aside from 1 year when they went to the playoffs and they won with him in home because he had COVID, he hasn't really been he hasn't really gotten the job done to me. And it's Jimmy Haslam who has made moves around him. He's been forced to try to defend them, and they just haven't worked. So let's see how they do, Steven. Like I said, let Barry do one more draft class, see how they shore up things. You don't have to draft a quarterback; that's not necessary. But again, I'm not. Jimmy Haslam does what he wants to do. He'll sit there and he'll probably try to draft another quarterback somewhere down the line because he's just an idiot.
And then looking at the other games this week, today, the Chiefs lost to the Titans. I mean, it is just a shocking loss. Gardner Minshew suffered an ACL injury.
Another
one. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes last week, and now this. Now they don't have any, literally, they don't have any quarterbacks available yet. And
here's a quick update.
They're just falling apart right now.
Jacksonville has won over Denver in Denver.
Yes.
And believe it or not, Jacksonville is in play for the number 1 seed. And I've said how much I do not like Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. However, in this 5-game winning streak, he has played within himself. And for Jacksonville, you got to give him credit. And as Jacksonville,
give credit as due, absolutely.
And there's a chance for Jacksonville to be the number 1 seed. I never thought that was ever going to be. I don't think anybody thought that was going to be possible. But the Jags are in play, and if they get the number 1 seed, they have an opportunity to do something here. And they have a great coach in Liam Cohen, who's, by the way, from Rhode Island. So interesting there. He has a Rhode Island. So he has a good chance to be the coach of the year along with Ben
Johnson.
Along with Ben Johnson and of course Mike Vrabel. Those two are all of those are in play. But I got to tell you, Steven, I don't think any one of us could have thought that Jacksonville would be in play for the AFC number 1 seed and get that bye, because I'm sure that Jacksonville, the fans in Duval, I don't even think they saw this coming.
No, not at all. I mean, to go to Denver and then just whoop Broncos by 2 scores. I know there were some dumb moments in the game today by Denver, but I gotta say it is simply stunning, and it's a massive shockwaves to the NFL. Broncos have been amazing. They had an amazing game against the against the Green Bay Packers last week. Obviously the record doesn't reflect that. Jacksonville is 11-4, Broncos is now 12-3 right now, and I'll say this. This was probably a huge wake-up call for the Broncos, who has to go to Kansas City next on Christmas Day, I believe, on Netflix. This was I think Amazon Prime. I apologize.
Yeah, it's Amazon. It'll be on Prime Video. Yeah,
right. So there is so much at stakes. With the Chiefs reeling with all the injuries and the lack of motivation. The Broncos now have to really put on a beat down in Arrowhead just to kind of leave the bad taste in their mouth from this loss today. Jacksonville, congratulations, they deserve it. The Texans barely squeaked by the Raiders today. Now the Texans' chance of winning the division seems like very much a slim chance right now.
Right.
Right, because they have to go to Los Angeles to play the Chargers, who beat the Cowboys in double score. Jacksonville hosts they go to Indianapolis next week. Yep. And then they finish out with the Tennessee Titans, so they have a chance to win out and finish. And 13-4. That is quite a shocking 1 year. So like the Jaguars are like the Bears of the AFC. They have completely exceeded expectations of everybody else right now, and it's just amazing that where things are right now. And then we forgot to mention just an incredible Thursday night game. Seahawks over the Rams on the overtime again. Great game. And The Seahawks now have the number 1 seed. The Rams literally have fallen to 5 seed or 6 seed at this point. But obviously, the what I didn't mention, obviously, in our show today, the game was kind of overshadowed by Puka Nakua's stupidity of being on a Aiden Ross live stream leading up to the game, where he tried to sneak them into the facility, which was blocked, and then the Ross, noted anti-Semitic dude, tried to convince Nakua to do the how do you say the
Well, he's trying to do
how
it.
would you be?
He tried to get him to do an anti-Semitic dance, which
Right.
celebration. The Rams said, "Don't even try to do it." And some people thought that the NFL will try to cancel Nakua. That's not the case. But I would probably expect some type of fine.
I think he already got fined because during that live stream, he was highly critical of the referees there, and which, by the way, after the game, he actually tweeted about the refs being impacting the game. Some guys, unfortunately, as we were talking about Joe Klatt earlier, some guys just does not, unfortunately admit that they're wrong and wrongful.
Right.
They just keep doubling down, unfortunately. And in this case, Nakua himself, I think, to be honest with you, Ken, I thought he should have been fined a lot more, not just for the for criticizing the referees, but for the getting himself involved with the anti-Semitic dude like Aiden Ross, for God's sakes.
Yeah, it's really stupid. But you know what? I don't know. They asked the coach. I forgot his name. I don't know why I'm forgetting his name.
Sean McVay. Sean McVay.
Yeah. So they asked him right after the game about the tweet that he made, that Nakua made. He said, "I haven't seen it. I don't know what but we'll address it later on and in the locker room." I don't know what McDermott's going to do with him. You can't cut him because Nakua is such too good of a player. But hopefully I don't know if he's going to learn. He doesn't seem to be the type of player that's going to learn from this type of situation. But you know what? I'm sure that if the coach tells him to shut up, I think he'll at least listen to that. So maybe McDermott can just say, "Hey, look, maybe go out social media for a while. Take a week off and just so this blows over." And if the Rams, this loss isn't going to certainly help them, but the fact is, Nakua's got to put his phone down and just not look at it for a while, because I know it's easy. It's not easy for some of us to do in this day and age, but stay away. Just don't do stupid stuff. But I know it's easier said than done. But in his case, he's just got to put the phone down and not look at it. Just keep it away, or someone.
This loss, unfortunately. I apologize, Ken. Sorry, I'll let you finish there. Sorry about that.
No, the team is either just lock take his phone away and put it in a locker and just say, "Look, don't stay away from any social media. Just go to practice and just do your job, okay? Because you're not here to be paid on social media. You're paid to catch passes."
Right. And by the way, I'm not suggesting, or neither one of us is suggesting, that the Rams loss was because of Nakua's. Nakua's performance was just amazing. Okay, he played his butts out. There's no question about it.
And he scored a touchdown.
Oh my goodness! Steelers just blew a 37-yard field goal. Holy cow! Wow. I am looking at a local CBS affiliate here, and
I just put it on, and I just showed it now.
Just Boswell. Holy cow! He missed it. It hit the one of the poles on the right side, upright, and just missed it. Oh my goodness!
Well, now Detroit has a chance to come back and get a winning score here now.
So, exactly, they can, because it's 6 point. What is it? The 29-24.
29-24.
29-24. Oh, that's right. So touchdown alone is going to give you a a lead.
Yeah, 1
Oh
point
my
lead.
God!
So this is just Pittsburgh Pittsburgh just can't stand prosperity. Mike Tomlin just can't believe what he saw. Yeah, my CBS affiliate is like very, very far behind any other feed. So
Oh,
yeah,
I see. My apologies there.
but
Again,
that's
back
okay.
to the
I mean,
Nakua thing. Yeah, no question. But back to the Nakua thing. It's just that the loss just completely, just add, what Nakua did, I should say, going on a live stream, whether he knew anything about it or not. Just kind of add insult to an injury because obviously the loss puts the Rams out of a top seed. Now they're basically 5 seed right now on a wild card in a ever competitive NFC West. So
right.
then for Sean McVay to having to answer questions about Nakua after the game, you could definitely see, excuse me, Sean McVay seething. His
Yeah,
facial expression was so you could tell by how pissed off Sean
yeah,
McVay was because you lost, and then you have to deal with having to answer Puka Nakua and then the anti-Semitism accusations and all that kind of stuff too.
right.
So,
100%.
and the NFL does have a problem on its own, because you know you have so many streamers slash influencers out there nowadays,
Right,
and it's kind of hard to put a kibosh or regulate just who these people are and how they have so much access to facilities inside, not just the locker room, but like a team headquarters itself, where you can
right, right, right,
have access, and you have coaches, not just the players, but you have coaches do willingly participate in some ways. To I understand that there's the enhancement of their own brand to a degree. They have their own, most teams do have their own in-house social media teams in-house, with the YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram and
right,
so forth.
right,
But
right, right.
certainly, I think this incident highlights just the dangers of maybe players themselves needing to learn who you hang out with. You have issues with the
Right,
posses and then the entourages, and now you have to
right,
deal with
right,
people like
right,
Aiden Rosses of the world, unfortunately, which
right,
tarnishes not only Nakua's reputation, but also destroys sometimes the reputation of the
right.
organization itself too. Well, let's see. So you're still watching the game, right?
Yeah, I have the game on, so yeah. But
Yeah.
let me just get to our final words. As we
Go ahead.
wrap.
I'll let you have first a crack at the final word segment, right?
You really have to be careful about a lot of the AI slop that's out there. Earlier this weekend, it was reported that NFL Network's Jane Slater was killed in a domestic violence incident. Now, yes, there was a local sports reporter. She was killed in a murder suicide involving her husband. But there was an AI report that's saying that Jane Slater was killed. I texted Jane Slater this morning, and I just said, "Hey, it's really stupid about what happened." He goes, "Well, I hate," and she just, I'm not, I'm going to keep our text conversation private, but it's just really, really have to be careful about a lot of the things that are out there and the AI slop that's on Facebook and on YouTube, because if you don't, stuff like that gets out there, and again, Jane Slater is fine. She was on NFL Network this morning reporting from Dallas. She was, and again, I as someone who I've known for quite some time, I texted her and just said, "Hey, look, I hope you have a good holiday and everything, but happy you're okay." But again, be careful about the sources you look at on Facebook and on YouTube, because not everything that all that stuff about that's using AI, I hate to say it, but it's getting better. but just know your sources. Just be very careful about what you see out there, because as we all know, things are not always true, and that AI is very dangerous. So again, Jane Slater is fine, but again, it was based on a report about a murder-suicide involving a local sports reporter from the Deep South. Again,
I saw that.
yeah,
Unfortunate. Yeah.
and unfortunately, that was true about the local sports reporter, but not true about Jane Slater. She was not involved in a domestic violence situation. She's very much alive. But again, be careful about what you see about AI. I wanted to mention that today, Stephen.
I truly feel that Meta or Facebook, Meta, of course, is the parent company. I do believe that they should be sued for a bunch of these fake stories that you see so much about it these days. My final word is that the Chicago White Sox signing Japanese slugger Munetaka Murakami to a 2-year, $34 million contract today. Now, Murakami is actually team play for Tokyo Yakult Swallows, which was managed by, believe it or not, former White Sox closer Shingo Takatsu, who resigned after this past year. I'm not saying the White Sox signed him because of that, or he consulted with Takatsu, but there is that connection between two sides there. And this guy won a Triple Crown back in 2021 or 22, I believe, at the age of 21, which, by the way, was the youngest to do so in NPB history. And he was posted this offseason. Unfortunately, because of his high K rate and his questionable defense at third base, he's a pretty big guy for a Japanese guy. He only got 2 years, $34 million. Now, he is only 25 years old, and I think it's a pretty good gamble. Hopefully, he does well enough to, get a bigger contract, either with the White Sox or more likely probably somebody else down the road in 2 years from now. Again, with with a lot of these Japanese players, whether you're a pitcher or a hitter especially, don't expect immediate impact or like a payoff like you see with Shohei Ohtani. Even Ohtani in his first year, he only had maybe like 20 some home runs anyway. And look where he is now. So from a cultural and from a adjustment, perspective, I hope that, whether it's Murakami or some other Japanese players that are expected to come over here starting next year, Kazu Okamoto, Tatsuya Imai, and among others, there's going to be more influx of, Japanese players. And, again, the culture and then the lifestyle adjustment, and then having to, get used to the major league traveling and then the pitching. It does take time. And then hopefully, Murakami himself will do a, great job adjusting himself to, American baseball and then also the life outside of it as well. These things are legitimate. These things, sometimes you kind of take it for granted. But, I think it's for White Sox, a team that is finally recovering from the worst season in MLB history 2 years ago. I think there is a good gamble for them to, add another young slugger on top of their, strong young lineup that they have built up because of the, years of, bad seasons and, drafting high and then getting a pretty good return from the Boston Red Sox in that Garrett Crochet trade several years ago. So, I'm very curious to see how Murakami does with the White Sox. And, and then there's a slew of Japanese players who are expected to be posted, that's nearing the deadline as well about their, in the future and their availability as well. So just wanted to close out my final words with the addition of Murakami to the White Sox there.
I think it's a good move, Steven. It gives some White Sox fans some hope. And of course, Chicago does have a good Japanese community, as you're well aware. So I think bring someone in like that is going to be good for the White Sox. And not only that, is he going to have, as you mentioned, be patient. He may not have the same impact that Otani or even Ichiro did in Seattle, but give him some time, and hopefully he'll be able to bring some excitement to the White Sox.
Right. The White Sox have an obligation to allow Murakami to, adjust to, not just here in America, but also adjust to, major league style pitching. He does have a high K rate. There are some questions about whether he's able to hit a, like a fastball here in America, which is a, adjustment that every, hitter outside of Otani has to deal with. So this is going to be a very, very interesting experiment, a very good gamble, and hopefully there's a significant payoff for, both the White Sox and for Murakami as well, moving forward. Ken, another great show as always. 125 people. Thank you so much for joining my show, our show. And then the Lions just scored a touchdown, 22 seconds left. They now have a 1-point lead with about 22 seconds left. Oh, wait a minute. There is a flag on the way.
Let's wait this. Yeah, let's hold on to see what this is.
Oh, offensive pass interference. Ouch.
Oh my goodness, a pick?
No. Offensive pass interference.
Was it on Amon-Ra St. Brown? My TV,
it was on 18 to Isaac Tesla.
Okay, so that's a 10-yard penalty. So that's going to hurt the Lions, but actually gives them a little bit more room. Really bad penalty. Detroit's just not the same team as they were last season, Steven, as we have seen. This is a team that has a lot of bad penalties. Of course, losing your two main coordinators, and Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson, have really hurt this season. But you can see the little illegal pick that they showed there. So they have another 1st and goal, but they're going to be, I think it's going to be on the 14-yard line, if I'm not mistaken. They're on the 11-yard line. So we'll see.
Right, and then there's a false start penalty now.
So luckily
they're back up to about 16. They're down to about 16-yard line right now.
Yeah, so there's no 10-second runoff because the clock was not running. So we'll stay on the air to see what happens here, to see what exactly happens here. You're a little bit ahead than me, because right now I'm seeing that the Lions are in a huddle. So if you're seeing it ahead of me, because thankfully I think you're not on YouTube TV. You're probably having the live
local
feed.
CBS, local CBS feed right now. Yes. Yeah, this is a huge. Yeah, now I think the Lions just took a timeout here.
Oh, they had a player feign injury. He pretended to collapse to get a timeout. That's
right.
Too funny. So right now, 13 seconds left to go. Steelers, they just showed a stat, are 103-0-1 when leading by 12 points or more in the fourth quarter. They had a couple opportunities here to put this game away. Chris Boswell, as we mentioned, missed a field goal. So here we go. 2nd and goal coming up, Steven. Detroit down 29-4.
Right. Ooh.
We're keeping an eye on this game.
This might be the only game that's
Yes, this is the only game that's left right now that's still on the air before the Sunday night game, which is New England at Baltimore. New England wins tonight. They maintain their there's an incomplete pass. So now we're down to 3rd and goal. 11 seconds left. So basically it's win or go home here for Detroit. But New England, with the win tonight, will secure themselves with a playoff spot, and I believe will also clinch the AFC East. So we'll have to wait and see what happens tonight against Baltimore. They're playing in Baltimore tonight.
Oh,
And I think we're now at 4th and goal, Steven.
it is. Tesla had it briefly, and then he got knocked down and couldn't hold on to the ball. Here's your ball game. 4th and goal.
6 seconds left.
I have
Right.
8 seconds on the clock right here.
Oh, they put 8 seconds? Okay. So,
Yeah, they put it at 8 seconds.
yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. There's a flag.
The game cannot end on a defensive penalty.
Wait, hold on a second. Let's see what happens there. There is a flag.
Yeah, there are like 5 flags all over the place. There was a fumble, and then Jared Goff ran it in. So what's going? There's no signal. If this is against Detroit, the game is over. Game cannot end. It's a penalty. Referees are discussing. Aaron Rodgers thinks it's against Detroit. There's no time on the clock. Looks like they're pointing
Right.
at
Jared Goff is trying to get into the conversation, and
they're pushing him away.
right.
Pittsburgh's ready to run on the field.
Wait, let me see what
This is a very long discussion. What is going on here?
I don't know either.
I'm going to have to turn this up. This is just really, really interesting to see what's happening here. It looks like this is against Detroit because they're talking to Jared Goff. Fans are booing. There's been still no decision made. Looks like Pittsburgh is ready to walk off the field here. Why is this taking so long, Steven?
I have no idea.
This looks like it's going to impact the game no matter what.
Here it comes. Touchdown.
What? They're calling a touchdown? Are they saying it's kind of like the 2-point conversion, like when Seattle had the ball lateral?
No touchdown.
They call a touchdown?
No, there's no touchdown. What is this?
Pass interference against Detroit?
Again? Wow. Wow, the Bears are in the playoffs now.
Bears are in the playoffs. San Francisco's in the playoffs.
Now. Why? I need an explanation on this one. Was it okay? So here's St. Brown. OPI on St. Brown.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so he ran into Jalen Ramsey and tried to set him up for a score in the end zone.
Right.
And then St. Brown got stopped by 5 and 24, and then he just lateraled it back while he was being held up, and then Goff went in for a touchdown.
All right, so they're going to call a push off on Amos St. Brown. He caught the ball, tried to flip it back, where Goff caught it and then ran into the
wow.
Because it was offensive interference on.
On the Lions. Wow,
that would have been a touchdown.
What an ending, man! That took forever. Oh my
God. I mean, really, to be honest with you, that's not much of a push off there, but it's got to get called. So, all right. So Detroit is out. Chicago is in the playoffs. And I think San Francisco, as a result, gets in the playoffs as well. So
Wow.
that's really
Wow,
interesting.
shocking.
So really interesting what
Insanity.
happened there. But congratulations to the Chicago Bears. They go into the playoffs. They have clinched a playoff spot thanks to Detroit's loss. And we'll see where seeding happens, because right now, as it stands, they are the number 2 seed in the NFC behind Seattle. So, well, that's going to
Yep.
wrap it up for us. I'm glad we stayed
Yep.
on the air to find out what happened. Thank you very much for watching us, all the 126 people for us. And we stayed on a little bit just to see what happened with Detroit. Steven, a great weekend for you. Your Bears not only beat the Packers, but they now clinched the playoff spot, something at this time last year you would not have. So I'm thinking
No, absolutely not. No,
so
absolutely
January is
not.
going to be a fun month for you, as the Bears will be playing, at least right now, as it stands. If the season ended today, they will be playing in Wild Card Weekend. But let's see what happens. We still have a long way to go for seeding, so we still have a couple more weeks, and we have a lot to discuss. So, Steven, congratulations on your Bears making the playoffs, and
Thank you very much.
On all
Appreciate
Bears
it.
fans for making the playoffs. Have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you very much. Enjoy your Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, Ken, and we'll keep you updated on our next show. Hopefully, either next Sunday at this time. If not, then we'll keep you updated on our X channel. Just to give everybody a holiday. Relaxes and everything so far. But we plan on doing it, but we'll keep you updated on our our X moving forward. Ken, thank you as always. Once again, Merry Christmas, and thank you for doing this every week. And hopefully we'll do this again before the end of the year. Thank you so much, Ken.
Good night.